For part one of the first lab report you're going to be measuring distances using Google Maps, and you're going to make trips and measure how long it takes or record how long it takes to make that trip. So let's say, for instance, and we're going to do, and if you're not on campus, you can do this wherever you are. I'm using campus as an example simply because most of our students are on campus or live near campus. But if you live, let's say you live in Minnesota or something like that, use your own city for this. Pick out some places that you go on a regular basis. What we want is for you to measure the distance using Google Maps that you make on a trip, and then you're going to record how long it takes you to make that trip um, as you do it several different times. So, for instance, first we'll do one that is a walking trip. All right, let's assume that you live in Foundation Hall here on Delta State's campus. I'm going to go to the entryway of Foundation. I'm going to hit right click, just right clicked, and I'm going to measure distance. Now that puts a little dot there. And now I'm just going to walk out to the street. I click with the left mouse button there. I'm going to walk all the way down to here. I'm going to go across, and then I'm going to go up the street to here and into Keithley where I'm taking my English class. So that path per Google Maps is 2,290 feet. If you put your mouse over it and right click down here at the bottom, it gives you the distance in meters, which is what I'm going to want you to use. So you're going 698 meters. The 0.04 we'll ignore. So 698 meters if you're making that trip. And as you can see, you can make this trip however many legs on it you want by just saying, well, now that I'm done with Keithley, I'm going to now go across for I'm going to go back out and go across the quad and go to my music class, right? So I've added some more to it. Um, but what you really want is you want to pick one thing that you're going to do, like the trip from Foundation to Keithley. You're going to measure that distance. We got 690 meters. Um, and then when you set out in the morning, you're going to time how long it takes you to get to that class, right? Using a class for the walking piece of this, and in particular your first class of the day is a good one. Maybe you don't start at Foundation. Maybe you eat breakfast and you start over here at the cafeteria, right? You can drag these around, play around with this. So that's one measurement I want you to make. And if you have a car, or if you regularly travel by car to somewhere else, there's another kind of measurement I want you to make. Right? So I'm going to clear that. So let's say we go to Kroger. So again, I'm going to start at Foundation in the parking lot. We're going to go out of the parking lot up to Yazoo, and I'm just going to click along, right, all the way out to Highway 8. And then up the street. Oop, yes, the medical clinic, animal medical clinic. All right. And now I'm going to park at Kroger. So 2.04 miles. Again, right click it. Down here it says at the bottom 3.29 kilometers. That's the number I'm going to want you to use in kilometers. So that's 3,290 meters. So restate it in meters. So if over the course of the next few weeks while you're collecting data for this part of the lab, you make a trip to some place like Kroger by car, again, measure the distance of the trip you're going to take using Google Maps, record your time several times, and what we're going to do is we're going to be calculating the average velocity you have over that trip, right? How far did you go, or the average speed you're going, right? Now, here's the next part, all right? Your actual average So that's your average speed that you're going along the trip, but your actual average is something different. And so you have to measure a distance a different way. Because how far did you go? Well, we laid it out as you're going from the parking lot and all the individual pieces, but that's not your actual average. Your actual average, you start there and you end up in the parking lot of Kroger. So you actually went only 1.42 miles, right? We're going to look down here, 2.28 kilometers, not 3,000 something. So 2,280 meters is how far you actually went. So we're going to compare two different things. We're going to compare your sort of average along your path, right? Because there are two different things we're looking at here. We're looking at the average velocity along your path versus your actual average velocity, which is how long it took for you to go from your initial point. Let me just pan out a little bit. Your initial point over in the parking lot to Kroger, right? Because the actual average is you only went this far. Now your car went along and did all this other stuff, right? But your actual displacement, the distance that you have actually traveled from your starting point is only this, right? And we're going to do the same thing for when you go to um, clear that measurement. We're going to do the same thing here. I'm going to encourage you with this one. You're going to start off at foundation, and what you're going to do is you're going to come to my office. You're going to come to my office in the science building, right? Move that around a little bit. That's where Google thinks I am right now. So that's another measurement you can do. You can come to my office for office hours several times over the next few weeks, and you can measure both your path and your total distance, your actual distance that you've been displaced, and make those two different measurements. And again, you're going to record the distance that you travel along your path, the actual total distance that you're displaced in going from your dorm to office hours, and you're going to record every time you do this the amount of time it takes you to do it. All right, so you're going to want to do this. We're going to do this over 4 weeks, so I'm going to want a minimum of 5 measurements for a driving trip. So if you're not going to drive someplace 5 times, think about, do you want to do the driving one? And I want a minimum of 10 measurements for a walking trip, since many of you will be walking on a regular basis. And so that's the end of this piece, which you're going to get started on right away and get done by the time the lab report is due. All right, good luck with this. Hope you have fun.